While in breaking news, protests erupt in different cities downtown. Another deadly involved shooting leaves an unarmed black male laying unresponsive in the streets. The video clipping clearly shows that he had his hands up, don't shoot. Hands up, don't shoot. Hands up, don't shoot. Hands up, don't shoot. I done got sick and tired of being quiet. Too many done died, my heart is on fire. I done got sick and tired of being quiet. Too many done died, my heart is on fire. No hands up, they don't want us protesting. They arrest our protesters, they dress up in riot gear with the Billy Clubs beaters just for talking aggressive or for holding a sign with a powerful message. Black Lives Matter, listen together. Snow, rain, sleet, storm, any weather. We started marching from the projects. Now we got a crowd and it's all around. Uptown, downtown, it's going down. We gon' stand our ground. Got sick and tired of not making a sound. We saw the video, watch how the officer let off the rounds. Plow, plow, plow. Another brother laying dead on the ground. Hands up, don't shoot. Hands up, don't shoot. Hands up, don't shoot. Hands up, don't shoot. I done got sick and tired of being quiet. Too many done died, my heart is on fire. I done got sick and tired of being quiet. Too many done died, my heart is on fire. No hands up, don't shoot. Hands up, don't shoot. Hands up, don't shoot. Hands up, don't shoot.
fucking hands out to the side. Hands out to the side, now. Roll to your stomach, now. Yeah. Hey, don't get fucking close. I can't see his fucking hand. Get your hand up from underneath you now. We've got a medic coming. Don't move, dude. Roll over, dude. Give me support. Sarge, one more time. I can shut this off?
Yes. Good afternoon. Earlier today, I attended the funeral of Casey Goodson Jr. at the request of his mother. No parent should have to bury their child, and I am heartbroken for Mrs. Payne, as well as Casey's siblings and his friends. Yesterday, the city had to inform the daughter of Andre Hill that her father had been killed at the hands of law enforcement, just like Casey. It is simply an unexplainable loss. The call for service early yesterday morning was a non-emergency call from a neighbor, not a 911 call, about a car in the street that was being turned on and off. Mr. Hill was known to the residents of the home where his car was parked on the street, and he was an expected guest. He was not an intruder. Earlier today, we released the body-worn camera footage from Adam Coy, the officer involved in the shooting. As I said yesterday, Officer Coy did not turn on his body-worn camera until after the shooting. A function of the camera provides us with a 60-second look back that captures the shooting, but without audio. We can see Mr. Hill coming out of the garage of the home with one hand raised with his cell phone and the other not visible. We cannot hear the verbal exchange between Officer Coy and Mr. Hill. We can see Mr. Hill be shot and fall to the ground. I said yesterday that I'm outraged by the shooting. I'm also very disturbed by what I don't see next in the body-worn camera footage. From what we can see, none of the officers initially at the scene provide medical assistance to Mr. Hill. No compression on the wounds to stop the bleeding. No attempts at CPR. Not even a hand on the shoulder and an encouraging word that medics were en route. It is an officer's duty to not only summon a medic, but to render aid. Columbus Division of Police's core values are integrity, compassion, accountability, respect, and excellence. From the body-worn camera footage we've seen, these values were absent and not on display while Mr. Hill lay dying. Yesterday, I called on Chief Quinlan to relieve Coy of duty, stripping him of his badge, gun, and police powers. After further review of the incident, today, I am calling for the immediate termination of Coy. I will let Safety Director Pettis explain the process. Director.
Thank you, Mayor. Good afternoon, everyone. This is a very sad day for our city. The city I grew up in, the city my grandchildren now grow up in, the city I've lived in all my life as a black man. To our black community, I say this: I know your pain. I understand your fears and your anger. But I am not just a black man. I am the Director of Public Safety. That carries with it obligations and responsibilities I cannot shirk. I am the sole person in the city of Columbus with the authority to hire police officers and to fire them. And when it comes comes to those decisions, any personal emotions have to be set aside. The process of public employee discipline is dictated by both the United States Constitution and the collective bargaining agreement, in this case, with the FOP. Public employees are entitled to due process. In a case such as this, the police chief is required to serve an officer with a list of charges against him or her. That employee will have a hearing before the public safety director. My commitment, my legal obligation is to conduct a fair, impartial hearing, and that is what I intend to do. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Director Pettis. I want to be clear that calling for McCoy's termination is not prejudging him for the shooting. That investigation is being handled by BCI. I expect a full accounting of the evidence, truth to be sought, and justice to be served. However, Coy failed on two directives: not turning on the body-worn camera and failing to offer aid after the shooting. We give our officers great power, powers that no one else in our society have. The power to stop, to detain, to question, to arrest, to use force, and to even take life. And with that power comes great responsibility, including using body-worn cameras and rendering aid. Our community is grieving and suffering. A final goodbye to Casey Goodson this morning, and now we mourn the death of Andre Hill this afternoon. Enough is enough. This community is exhausted. The African American community is fearful, concerned, outraged, and exhausted. If there were other members of our community that were under threat, there were a menace to our Jewish brothers and sisters at synagogues. There were threats to the Asian American community, Indian American, Latinos, and places they lived. This community would come together and stand up to make sure our neighbors were safe. That is what we must do as a city, as a community. We are better than this, and we must make sure that everyone is safe. I'll be happy to take some questions. Yeah, some preliminary information. I reached out to his daughter this morning and hoping to talk to her. Our office has been in contact with his brother as well. I don't know much about Mr. Hill at this moment, other than, trying to gather more information from family and friends about him. I believe so. I do not. I believe that you all have gotten the footage as well as a copy of that initial call around noise or the car being started and stopped. Obviously not a call with any concerns of safety or fear, but just simply a call, a car being started and, somebody sitting in the car for some period of time. And we believe that was connected to Mr. Hill. As I said before, Mr. Hill was known to the residents at the home. He was expected. He was not an intruder. He had not committed any crimes. Not aware of any issues involving Mr. Hill.
Can you give us a reaction when you saw that video? Tell us what you saw and what bothered you about it.
Well, I was stunned. And heartbroken when I saw the shooting of this man, of our neighbor. That was stunning enough. But then to see him lying in the driveway, minute after minute after minute after minute, with no attempt to render aid and comfort. To be honest, Louis, I had never seen body-worn camera footage like that, where literally no attempts to revive and aid this man who had committed no crime. That is a stunning disregard for life, and in this case, black life, that is unacceptable in this community. Several minutes. I think we should have a specific number, but certainly more than 5, and maybe closer to 7 or 8 minutes. Yeah, several minutes. We don't know that yet, exactly. But we know a medic was en route, but no officers on the scene from the footage we saw today attempted to offer any aid, comfort, or support, as they are required. Yes?
Will there be any other discipline for the other officers there who did not administrate?
Officers that don't follow the policies, procedures, training, and directives of the chief and the safety director will be held accountable.
Is there body-worn camera of the second officer filming there?
We believe so, but I'm not sure if that's been released to the public yet, but it will be soon. I believe that in a conversation I had with Attorney General Yost, one of the reasons we wanted to delay the release of the footage today was to make sure that the family had a chance to see the footage first before it became public, but also at the request of Attorney General Yost, who I spoke with yesterday, who was scheduled to interview the officer today, I believe at 1 o'clock. And he wanted a chance to interview her before the footage became public, so we honored that request.
This might be this question, Director. Can you tell us about Adam Boyd and his history with the department? How long has he been on? And our sources are saying that he had a history of issues with the department. I know there's a process that you need to go through. Can you explain that process and what we know about Adam Boyd?
Yes, I can explain the process to you, but I can't tell you much about Adam Coy. The police chief notifies members of charges against them. They are entitled to just cause, which the police chief provides the comparables, if they exist, of similar misconduct, similar charges, similar discipline. He provides all of that to me. Members are entitled to representation, and so the member and their representation, their schedules are coordinated by my office, along with my HR officer, a city attorney representative, and the chief's designees, which are usually representatives from Professional Standards and the Internal Affairs Bureau. They present the chief's case to me. Then the members' representation, the FOP, their legal representation, present a defense for the member. So the member is entitled to be notified. The chief has to also provide any awards, commendations, along with the member's personnel history. And
He can't be fired unless there's due process, is that correct?
that's some of the due process that I'm explaining to you now.
Well, there are many questions about what led to a Columbus police officer shooting and killing a man on Tuesday morning. But tonight, we've learned the names of the officer, the man who he shot, and are getting a first glimpse of what happened from body camera video the city has released. Thank you for joining us for 10 TV News at 5, everybody. I'm Yolanda Harris. Andrew's off tonight. We have team coverage. Kevin Landers is learning more about the man the officer shot and killed, and Angela Reigert is looking into that officer's background. But first, we begin with Brittany Bailey, who has newly released body camera video of the shooting. Brittany?
Well, Yolanda, first I want to show you that we are just starting to see a few folks gather behind me. They've set up a speaker. It looks like they're planning to have a demonstration of some sort out here in front of City Hall. And this is just steps away from about an hour ago where we heard from our city leaders expressing their pain, their anger, and their frustration about this deadly shooting of Andre Hill. This is the second deadly shooting in our community in a matter of weeks. And this one all started yesterday morning with a non-emergency call from a neighbor.
There's a vehicle out front of my house, right beside of my house, in the street, on a curve. It's been out there earlier this evening running, then they shut it off. Now it's back running again for about a half hour.
Now that call led two Columbus police officers to Oberlin Drive. Body camera footage released today by the city shows Officer Adam Coy walking up the driveway to a home to a dark garage with the door open. That's when we see Andre Hill walk toward the officer holding up a lit up phone. Moments later, he is shot. Now, what we see after that in footage we feel is too disturbing to show on air is Officer Coy ordering Hill to show his hands and roll over. Now, later, Coy rolls Hill over himself, but it is minutes later before anyone tries to help Hill.
None of the officers initially at the scene provide medical assistance to Mr. Hill. No compression on the wounds to stop the bleeding. No attempts at CPR. Not even a hand on the shoulder and an encouraging word that medics were en route. It is an officer's duty to not only summon a medic, but to render aid.
Now, as we heard yesterday, Officer Coy has been relieved of his duties. Today, Mayor Ginther called for his termination, but we also learned again today from Public Safety Director Ned Pettis Jr. that there is a process in place for that, and that due process will be followed. Meanwhile, the shooting itself is under investigation by the Ohio Bureau of Criminal Investigation. Now, we do want to learn more about the victim in this case, Andre Hill, and for that, we're going to send things over to 10 TV's Kevin Landers.
I'm in North Columbus. 47-year-old Andre Hill was shot inside this garage behind me based on that police body cam video. And ever since Tuesday morning's shooting, people have been laying candles in a neighbor's front yard in his memory. And we spoke to a neighbor who says she didn't hear a thing, no gunshots, no officer commands. She woke to find her front yard covered in crime scene tape. As the mother of a black son herself, she says this crime hits home for her.
There's a mom out there that's probably similar to me in age. My son is similar in age to that man, and it's an unbearable thought that she had to lose her child, and for what doesn't appear to be any valid reason. This is a dead human being. He deserves to be remembered. I'm very sad to have the loss, but I don't want to forget about him either.
Hill's Facebook page states he attended Northland High School and went to Hocking College, where he graduated in 1995. A friend of Hill's tells us he grew up in the Brentnell neighborhood and was known as a shy kid. One friend tells 10 TV that she remembered him as an excellent cook and thought he was working at a restaurant downtown. That friend and Mayor Ginther also say he is the father of a daughter. Now, I did speak to Hill's brother, who declined to comment. Instead, he decided that he did not want to comment so shortly after this shooting. We can tell you that not only are people placing candles here outside this home, but also on a Facebook page for this neighborhood, people are also placing candles on their front porches in Hill's memory. Reporting live in North Columbus, Kevin Landers, 10 TV News.
All right, thank you, Kevin. Now, we've been digging into Officer Adam Coy's work background. 10 TV's Angela Reichert continues our team coverage tonight with what she's learning about that. Angela?
Hi, Yolanda. Yeah, what we learned is Adam Coy has been with this department for 19 years, okay? But this is not the first time that he's gotten in trouble. I looked at both his personnel file as well as reports from Internal Affairs. I want to show you what I found here, okay? Let's take a look at this now. Documents the city released today show Coy.
While in breaking news, protests erupt in different cities downtown. Another deadly involved shooting leaves an unarmed black male laying unresponsive in the streets. The video clipping clearly shows that he had his hands up, don't shoot, hands up, don't shoot, hands up, don't shoot, hands up, don't shoot. I done got sick and tired of being quiet, so many that died, my heart is on fire. I done got sick and tired of being quiet, so many that died, my heart is on fire. No hands up, no one is protesting. They arrest some protesters, they dress up in riot gear with the Billy Clubs beaters just for talking aggressive or for holding a sign with a powerful message. Black Lives Matter, listen together. Snow, rain, sleet, storm, any weather. We started marching from the projects. Now we got a crowd and it's all around. Uptown, downtown, it's going down. We gon' stand our ground. Got sick and tired of not making a sound. We saw the video, watch how the officer let off the rounds. Cloud, cloud, cloud. Another brother laying dead on the ground. Hands up, don't shoot. Hands up, don't shoot. Hands up, don't shoot. Hands up, don't shoot. I done got sick and tired of being quiet, so many that died, my heart is on fire. I done got sick and tired of being quiet, so many that died, my heart is on fire. No hands up, don't shoot. Hands up, don't shoot. Hands up, don't shoot. Hands up, don't shoot.
Has had 89 citizen complaints. Those are ranging from 2002 to 2012. This is what we can see, okay? But only 16 of them were sustained, meaning confirmed. They include violation of police rules and force. Those are among those sustained reports. Now, we found 89 use of force chain of command investigations. Only 5 of those were deemed outside of policy. Now, I want to talk specifically about an incident that happened in 2012. An internal review determined Coy acted outside of policy when he arrested a man, injuring him. The city of Columbus actually ended up having to pay that man $45,000 in a settlement. Coy's personnel file, though, when you take a look at that, it paints a very different picture here. In his personnel file, we found compliments after compliments from people in the community, as well as a 2018 award for his service. Now, of course, yesterday we learned that Coy was asked to turn in his badge, turn in his gun. We know that an independent psychologist would have to look at him before he could return to work. But I want to repeat something that Brittany Bailey said, because I think it's really important here. While Mayor Andrew Ginther, he's calling for him to be fired, Ned Pettis, the safety director, pointed out that he's the only one who has the power to do that. And with that, he wants to wait till there is a complete, thorough investigation. For now, reporting live in Columbus, Angela Reichert, 10 TV News.
Angela, thank you. Now, we have just received a statement from the Fraternal Order of Police, that's the police union, after today's news conference. It says in part, quote, the FOP believes that every citizen, including officers, deserves due process and that accountability is important. It goes on to say, quote, while we have seen others comment on an active investigation that they are not a part of, we encourage people to let the investigation be completed and not taint the process.